Washington Pod presents Earl Nightingale.
How many times have you heard a woman say, well, it's what they're wearing this year, which is another way of saying, this is the current uniform, or whatever they wear, I will wear. And men are just as bad. If the style is drooping Jesse James gunfighter-type mustaches, you'll see them adorning male upper lips from Maine to California. You'll see them in your rear-view mirror of your car and all about you on the street. Whatever starts out as something new and different immediately becomes the commonplace. The desire to copy others is so deeply ingrained in the human organism as to be a constant source of amazement. Until you remember the wise words of our friend Jose Ortega y Gasset. It is the natural state of man to find himself disoriented in his world. He is seeking orientation, a path to follow. And if others seem to know what they're doing or where they're going, well, he'll quickly get in line. Few people in our society are sufficiently mature, sufficiently wise, to go their own way regardless of the ebb and flow of fads and fashions. Few women have the kind of inner composure and are sure enough of what they like to pick their wardrobes from their own likes and dislikes and wear them, not in spite of the crowd, but in the simple, independent desire to wear those clothes that most please them. It isn't a matter of men or women, it's a matter of human beings who have never developed a way of their own in the world. It isn't that the independent, free person wants to be an iconoclast and stand out as a character in the crowd, just the opposite. He doesn't care if he stands out or not. He doesn't need to stand out. He's content with his evolving self. He's growing, he hopes to get better, but he's satisfied with his progress. It's perfectly natural that the person who lacks inner direction will seek to find direction in a group of some kind. This is not to say we should not belong to organizations, only that we should try to find out what is important to us and go our own way, or perhaps I should say, grow our own way. I was rereading Dana's great classic, 2 years before the mast, and his description of California and its people back in the 1830s when it still belonged to Mexico, and of his fascinating adventures as an ordinary seaman. And he mentions that when the sailors on his ship got an occasional liberty, they would go to the nearest saloon, get thoroughly plastered, and finally be stripped of their possessions and tossed into the pokey, where they would have to be ransomed the next morning. Now, he found it curious that sailors saw how fast they could become unconscious on their rare opportunities to go ashore. He, on the other hand, explored the countryside, met and talked with the people, learned the Spanish language, and kept notes in a journal that was to someday become a world classic and do much to raise the standard of living and the pay of sailors everywhere. He was the one man on the ship that didn't go with the traditional conduct of sailors, and he's the one that accomplished something. To be great at anything is to be a nonconformist. Mark Twain once said, whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it's time to reform. It isn't a matter of going against the trends of the time, it's simply a matter of going your own way.